Hello traders and welcome back to another market update. My name is Nick and in today's video we're going to take a look at the currency market and see what's going on. Now today we have NFP, so US dollar and Canadian pairs will likely be affected by this and we'll likely see some volatility at the standard time when NFP comes out. But we are still going to do some technical analysis in terms of a broader scale to see if there's some interesting levels and things to consider in your trading from a technical perspective. So we're taking a look here at euro dollar. You can see we're looking at the 4-hour chart. Price has held this support zone very nicely, right? We see a nice little structure trend, and if we look at the daily trend is now showing some bullishness as well. We had this strong downtrend, but price has put in a higher low here and a higher high. The question here now, going back to that 4-hour chart, is if we take a look at this recent structure high, can price break through? And this is really kind of the test of this trend strength. If price can break through this level and we get some sort of retest, there might be some opportunity to look for a continuation of this uptrend that we're seeing on EURUSD. On the contrary, if price does decide to pull back a little bit here, I think you might find some support along this strong trend line, which has been holding for the time being. Let's go ahead and take a look at GBPUSD, which is a similar kind of structure where we have an uptrend starting, but price has not yet reached the previous high. This will really be the test again of this trend strength to see if we can break through that level, and if so, you might have some sort of opportunity to wait for a retest and then see trend continuation opportunities set up. Again, this is just an idea, and of course take your own trades and look for your own confirmation analysis. However, for the most part, it looks like GBPUSD is looking like it wants to continue to push up. Let's take a look at USD JPY, which has moved to the downside here on the 4-hour chart. We had this trend line in play. You can see we had some nice structure there, but then price broke through. We had a continuation to the downside and a nice little down slip there on dollar yen. Now if we take a look here and we draw this fib from low to high, we do have some potential areas down here in the 61.8. This level looks interesting to me. You have previous structure as well as a pretty sharp pullback. Price has already broken through that 38.2 level, it seems, and so we might see a little bit further of a continuation there on dollar yen. Let's go ahead and take a look at Brent crude, which recently took a dip. However, we are still in the context of this 4-hour uptrend. Right, so if price can hold this level and we get a bounce higher, you could see a continuation of Brent crude into this kind of channel that we are seeing currently on this currency, right? So you have the kind of channel up to the upside here, but let's take a look at the daily chart. We have on the daily chart, we did hold this lower structure, right? So that's a big deal, right? So we found support, and we found support here. So that seems to be another area of interest longer term if you're watching Brent crude. WTI crude is going to look pretty similar. You can see we are holding this trend line as well, and we have a nice little uptrend structure there for the time being as well. And if we look at the daily, we have a very similar kind of buy zone down here towards the lows. Let's take a look at gold, and gold is trading in a range still, but we have seen a test, and we're currently testing this recent structure high, right? You have these lows along the bottom, and you have this high structure here on gold, and it seems that price is currently testing it for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th time or so, right? You can see price coming up into this area. So if we do see a sell-off on gold, if price wants to continue this range, that leaves us almost, a nice 324 movement there to the downside. So just some room to run if price decides to fall from here. We'll see what the price plays out as. USD CAD is our next one, which is going to be heavily impacted as well by NFP today due to the fact that it has both dollar and Canadian has news as well at the same time. So that will be interesting to watch. Now we are currently testing an area. You can see we tested 38.2. We're currently consolidating around 38.2, and price temporarily blasted up into the 50% retracement, but has held that level for the time being. It will be interesting to see if price, as news comes out, we'll see really where the dominant energy is. But we have some levels to consider either way, right? You have these kind of levels of zones or structures that could come into play or become interesting even with NFP, right? So you have some levels on the top. You also have some levels on the bottom. You have these recent structure lows. You have some minor support and resistance levels here, right? Some things to consider as price comes into the news. Of course, we don't know which way the news is going to go, but we do have an idea of some potential technical levels that could come into play after the fact. Dollar Swiss is our last one here for the day. You can see price did make a movement to the upside here, and this one also will be heavily affected by NFP if we see some volatility there. And so there are some levels to consider. Of course, we have our recent structures, right? You have our highs and lows, and if we drop it down to the 1-hour chart even, to take a look here, you can see that we have structure here as well, right? So we have a couple ideas, a couple things to think about going into NFP to see how this price plays out. Guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.